The Mexico shift. What's fueling John Deere's bold move? John Deere's shock announcement of a $55 million investment in a brand new plant in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, set to open in 2026 marks a pivotal strategic shift that has sent ripples through the agricultural and construction equipment industries. This facility will specialize in mini-track loaders and mini-wheel loaders, machines previously built in the Dubuque Works facility in Iowa, underscoring a deliberate reallocation of production away from high-cost U.S. operations. Deere is clear that this strategy isn't merely opportunistic. It's driven by enduring market dynamics, including Mexico's booming demand for compact construction machinery, which has surged by an estimated 76% since 2022. By placing a manufacturing hub in Mexico, Deere gains multiple advantages: lower labor and benefits costs, faster access to Latin American and U.S. buyers, and duty-free distribution through the USMCA framework, while freeing up capacity at U.S. factories to focus on high-end, technologically advanced tractors and heavy equipment. At the same time, Deere is doubling down on U.S. production with a historic commitment of $20 billion toward domestic manufacturing over the next decade, investing in automation, modernization, and workforce training across more than 60 facilities in 16 states. The company's leadership emphasizes this as a balanced, resilient, global approach, not a retreat from America. Yet the move has ignited fierce backlash. Thousands of jobs have already been cut in key U.S. plants in Iowa and Illinois, and local unions and workers are questioning whether the Mexico pivot undermines Deere's American legacy. Adding to the drama, former President Trump threatened to impose a prohibitive 200% tariff on Deere machinery built in Mexico, a move experts say could clash with USMCA rules and raise costs for U.S. farmers. Behind this bold maneuver lies a chess match of economics and geopolitics. High U.S. labor costs paired with weaker farm demand, U.S. net farm income dipped, dramatically make Mexico's lower overhead structure hard to ignore. But Deere also knows it needs the high-tech muscle of its American base. Research, advanced tractors like the 9RX and software-driven AG solutions continue to be U.S. The Mexico plant is not a divergence but a complement, letting Deere segregate high-volume, cost-sensitive lines from premium, innovation-led production. The ultimate question looms: will Deere's best of both worlds global playbook empower the company to stay on top, or will political pushback, local blowback, and economic turbulence rattle the balance? As John Deere pivoted toward its Mexico plant, the human toll in American factories became increasingly evident. In 2024 alone, the company cut 2,167 jobs across critical Midwest locations: Waterloo, Davenport, Dubuque, Ankeny, Ottawa, Moline, and East Moline, with additional reductions into 2025, including nearly 200 layoffs just during the first week of January in Iowa and another 386 statewide soon after. The impact: entire communities built around Deere's factories began to brace for the ripple effects. Vanished paychecks, strained households, and local businesses feeling the pinch. Union leaders were especially vocal. Tim Cummings, president of UAW Local 838, didn't mince words. He called Deere's decisions an insult to the working-class people of Iowa and Illinois, and urged the company to reverse course, bringing jobs back to American soil. His sentiments echoed across factory floors. One anonymous worker in East Moline, Illinois, told HR Grapevine bluntly, "The only reason for Deere to do this is greed." These voices reflect a broader frustration. Deere, after posting over $10 billion in profits in 2023 while compensating its CEO millions, was still dismantling union jobs and moving lines to Mexico. First-hand accounts from workers make the emotional toll crystal clear. As early as 2019, economic stress from trade wars had already led to indefinite layoffs of 163 workers in Illinois and Iowa, with hundreds more shifted to lower-paying roles within Harvester Works. A welder named Devin Spencer spoke of being lucky to have a job even while colleagues were laid off or reassigned at reduced pay, expressing fear for his Iowa workers grappled with dwindling job security, uncertain career paths, and shrinking local economies. And it wasn't just in the U.S. Some former Deere employees chimed in online with harsh criticism. On Reddit, one laid-off worker lamented John May's leadership. While making record profits, they are firing Iowa employees and shipping those jobs to Mexico. Others echoed the sentiment of betrayal after long tenures or patents lost, lamenting that top performers were being laid off while underperformers stayed. For towns like Waterloo and Ottawa, the stakes were existential. Waterloo, a city of around 68,000, was confronted with mass layoffs, 308 jobs lost in March and 192 more by June. The local mayor warned that losing Deere meant an extremely big loss for the town's future. In Ottawa, more than 100 employees chose early retirement amid looming cuts, a bleak sign for communities with few economic alternatives. Despite Deere's assertion that these moves were unconnected to Mexican operations and were simply responses to a declining farm economy, the timing told a different story. The simultaneous layoffs at U.S. plants and the ramp-up of a $55 million facility in Nuevo Leon signaled to many that lower labor costs, not agricultural softness, were the driving force. Workers and union reps viewed the move as a corporate betrayal, an American icon choosing profits over people, and their anger has been palpable, from strike halls to city councils. In some Deere's Mexico shift did more than realign its production. It disrupted family livelihoods, shattered worker loyalty, and cast a shadow over once stable industrial towns. The backlash, both emotional and political, continues to unfold. For many of these communities, the question isn't just what's next for Deere, but what's next for us. Trade wars and tariffs. The political firestorm around Deere, delivering a sharp, compelling narrative packed with facts, context, and drama. As John Deere pushes ahead with its strategy to relocate some skid steer and compact loader production to a New Mexico plant by 2026, it has ignited a fierce political reaction, most notably from former President Trump. In September 2024, during a campaign event in Pennsylvania, he declared, "If you do that, we're putting a 200% tariff on everything Deere sells in the U.S." That's not hyperbole. A 200% tariff would effectively block Deere's Mexico-built loaders from entering the U.S. market, forcing a choice between funding domestic jobs or risking steep penalties. Trump's threat went beyond Deere. He warned that any company moving production south of the border would face the same treatment. But this proposal runs headfirst into the law. Under the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA goods built in Mexico with eligible content are duty-free, and imposing such a tariff would violate those rules. Trade experts were quick to criticize the threat. "No serious, respected trade economists thinking that is a good idea," said an Ohio State trade professor, warning it could choke off imports and damage U.S.-Mexico relations. Business Insider reported economists described it as harmful to consumers, risk inflationary spillover, and likely counterproductive. Yet politically, the tactic cuts close to home. A faction of Pennsylvania farmers openly cheered on the move, some saying tariffs can't be high enough to bring jobs back to the U.S., while others worried it would raise tractor prices and spark wider trade wars. Mark Cuban, meanwhile, called Trump's position unrealistic and inflationary, pointing out its clash with USMCA. On Deere's side, executives acknowledge approximately $100 million in tariff-related costs already this year, with an estimated $500 million impact anticipated, though most stem from China and EU. Imposed duties. Deere has responded by certifying products under USMCA and examining global production adjustments to soften the blow. This saga isn't just about machinery, it's a high-stakes clash of trade policy, campaign messaging, international law, and economic strategy. Will Trump's tariff threat stick and deter Deere, or will technical constraints and legal protections under USMCA render it toothless? And what could this mean for the next election, US-Mexico relations, and farmers facing higher input costs? And that wraps up our deep dive into John Deere's Mexico move and its wide-reaching ripple effects, from US workforce disruptions to a full-blown tariff threat and global trade implications. Here's what to keep in mind. This is more than a manufacturing decision. It's a high-stakes bet balancing cost, politics, and global strategy. U.S. communities are bearing the human cost, and the backlash is as much emotional as it is economic. Any tariff escalation risks disrupting USMCA rules and stoking broader trade tensions. What's next? Will Deere press ahead with its global production strategy, or will political and legal pushback force a recalibration? Will us farmers endure higher equipment costs, or benefit from renewed domestic investment? And for you, the buyer, what could this mean for pricing, availability, and corporate responsibility? Thanks for joining me on this journey through the boardrooms, factory floors, and political arenas. If this video sparked curiosity, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. We've got more business breakdowns on the way. Drop your thoughts below. Should Deere have stayed in America, or was Mexico the right play? See you in the next one.